Sports Network from Learfield. This is the Gary Blair Radio Show, presented by Bud Light. It's for the fans. And by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit Rudy's.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Now, this is the Gary Blair Radio Show.
And hi again, everybody. Welcome out to Rudy's Barbecue. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. Great crowd on hand. While the weather outside a little bit frightful if you're not liking the cold and a little bit of drizzle. But the barbecue is pretty tasty and warm inside, although thankfully they do not have the fire on behind us.
Well, that's good. As I was leaving my car walking in, I kept thinking of a rainy night in Georgia. Well, this isn't Georgia, but it's a little rainy in College Station. I think between the men and the women, we got, what do they say, gig 'em? What is the frog term?
Oh, no, you would gig a frog.
I know, we'd gig a frog, but what is the frog term back to us?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, that's your job.
Find it out. Why would I? Let's go around. Let's form a list of things I should care about.
Well, it's bad when you Coach Brown is going to be our guest today.
Oh, good.
And his son Carter is sitting there wearing a purple shirt. I mean, we'll have a little talk later, but he's going to be our guest as well. We're going to bring the son up in a little bit to talk. Oh,
good. I hope he knows that and is looking forward to that. He's Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller, and Coach. The Aggies last night, yesterday afternoon up in Fort Worth, come up on the wrong side of TCU 87-75. Earlier in the week, it was a win over Texas Southern 83-43, and so the Aggies 9-2 overall, taking a week away from competition until next Sunday when it'll be Rice at Reed Arena, and then Monday UTSA. Let's take a look back at yesterday's game, and that wasn't a whole lot of fun.
Well, the last two Monday radio shows hadn't been a whole lot of fun, Steve.
No.
And hopefully that will stop real soon. But we've got some things to correct. And before we can correct them, the next biggest game is going on as we're speaking, and that's called final exams. And we got to concentrate on that. They started on Friday. I know our kids were off day. They had a number of them today, and we've got a number of them that have exams, I believe, on Thursday. So we've got to monitor practice, study film, but study the history books and the now books on whatever course we're taking.
When you, we'll get back to TCU in just a moment, but when you talk about the finals, when you're developing schedule, are there parameters you've got, are you required to take into play the final schedule, and how does that work in how you schedule?
Well, the final schedule, it's you and your opponent. Like when Texas Southern was here, they hadn't played in 14 days. They must have had their finals, or they couldn't get a ball game during that time, but that was 2 full weeks before they could play, and I think it showed up in how they played us and how they just played LSU, both 50-point wins. And it's tough to take that long off, whether in football you take a week off, then you have a bye day, but sometimes that's resting for injuries and everything. And during the season, kids get tired of practicing. Mm-hmm. They want to play, and they want to recover in a hurry and a couple practices, get ready for the next game. What we've got to do is we've got to make some corrections. People say, you're 9-2, you're ranked number 23 in the country. And there's a lot of teams that have lost 2 to 3 to 4 games that started out in the top 25 with us. But right now, we're a good basketball team. That's all.
How do you become a better basketball team?
Accountability starts with the head coach on. Accountability, every aspect of the game, every assistant coach that coaches a position, every player that accepts the responsibility to come here on scholarship. What do we have to do to get off to better starts and to follow the game plan? If you're not following the game plan and you're trying to play better and make adjustments during the game, that generally does not go in your favor. You have to be ready to execute the game plan that we started to before the game. It's been a long time since I've been down 14-0, and give TCU a lot of credit during that time. We ran our first play correct. We just happened to miss the shot. And I'm not sure what else we ran correct. We missed some shots, but everybody's going to miss shots. Okay, you remember the Texas game, they missed 9 out of their first 10. Well, but if you get an offensive rebound, you're taking that weight off of the player that missed the shot, and you're getting into another possession. We got out-rebounded 19. Here's the stat, and we had a good crowd at the ball game. It was probably 70-30. 30% of that crowd was pulling for us, or people that we brought in that are Aggies that are living up there, or parents of players, or a lot of my relatives and Carter's relatives. But here's the thing that makes that game ugly. Between the two teams, there was 46 turnovers. That's not good basketball. And 61 free throw attempts by the two teams. I'd get bored if I was watching that game. Whether we won or lost, that's not great basketball. You've got to take care of the basketball better. Both teams hit an adequate amount of free throws, but one kid from them hit 18 out of 21. Arguably, she's their best player. The best players step up at the right time, and the team steps up and gets the ball to the best player, particularly when they had a lead, and give TCU a lot of credit for that.
Why do you think you guys miss so many shots?
It just happens. It happens in every sport. It happens. A football team can get down 4-0 either by a turnover and a pick six, or baseball team, somebody can hit a grand slam, and then they're fighting to get back into the ball game, and all of a sudden it's 5-1 going into the fifth before you start getting. In basketball, it's just shots, but missed shots happen. Offensive rebounds are supposed to at least be attempted, and the majority of the time we had 1-2 people trying to rebound, and you cannot do that, particularly if you're playing a team on the road that was only 3-4, that was probably picked 7th in their conference, and all of a sudden they had the momentum, they had the crowd, and they kept saying, my gosh, we got them this game, we got them this game. And they were right. They outplayed us. Well,
and despite being down 29 in the third quarter, you guys battled back and cut it to, I think, six or seven in that fourth quarter. What were you guys doing right in that stretch that was an improvement from earlier in the game?
Well, sometimes you were trading baskets. I think we started out, we made 3 out of our last 6 threes, which that's normally what we've been shooting, but we didn't make them when it counted in the first half to get us that far behind because we had no offensive rebound. Next thing, we were playing with a lot of pride. We were trapping the ball. Yes, we would give up a basket every now and then, or we would give up 2 free throws when Hurd would wait, come back and get the ball and wait to shoot in the last 5 seconds of an offensive set. And a lot of times we bailed her out and fouled her. We've got to get better in that. People are going to do that all year long if they know what they're doing as a coach. If you're ahead, you take 20, 25 seconds off the shot clock. Do not start moving the ball around a whole lot, because you do, you're going to have a chance to turn over. You got a good ball handler. She keeps it in front of her, and then she creates for others down the stretch. And we're going to face a lot of SEC teams that do the same thing.
We're out here at Rudy's Barbecue. If you have a question for Coach, we've got the question box out and ready. We're also out there on Facebook Live as well, so you can engage with the show there. And we will also, if time allows, we are also planning our Random Blair Questions segment. I've been compiling a list of questions over the last several years for days just like today, a cold, rainy day in College Station after a loss. So stay tuned. We've got that, plus assistant coach Greg Brown joining us on the show. We're live at Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Gary Blair Radio Show from Learfield. basketball and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudy smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. We're back at Rudy's Barbecue here on Harvey Road in College Station with Coach Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller. Reminder that this will be our final show before the holiday break, and then we'll be back on January 3rd. That'll be our next show after tonight. Also a reminder that the next Gary Blair Luncheon is this Thursday. That's December the 16th at noon. But double check the location. It's going to be on the third floor of Reed Arena, the third floor ballroom. We did it there about 10 years ago, but we are back. It's been totally redone. Make sure you enter through the main entry and RSVP. Get those tickets in advance through the basketball office, and we'll see you on Thursday for the extravaganza that will be the Gary Blair Luncheon. That's always a festive time.
Well, we have elevators, folks. All right, there's no steps to climb. There's elevators to get up there. It'll be a fun evening. We're getting ready for graduation, and that's why they have to use our gymnasium to get ready for graduation, I believe, this weekend. Is that right?
Indeed, yes. The next game for the Aggies is Sunday, 2 o'clock against Rice at Reed Arena. You can listen on the A&M Sports Network. Locally, that's 1620 94.5 WTAW, or watch on the SEC Network Plus. But we also encourage you to be there. And a couple of promotions that are going on for that ball game is that we've got holiday hoops going on, and that starts for this Sunday's game. But a special just on Sunday, purchase one full-price general admission ticket at the Reed Arena ticket window and bring up to 4 kids to the game free. That is the best deal I think you're going to find in town for this Sunday's game. And then Monday, the Aggies face UTSA at 2 o'clock at Reed Arena. So expect to see you guys out there for both of those games. And Gary, yesterday at TCU, you had to play against a player that was on this team just a year or so ago, Leah Jackson, and she ended up starting for TCU. What's it like when you have play a player who has been on your team for multiple years, not just a one-year player like others might be? Leah was on the team for 2 or 3 years. Leah
left the right way with an Aggie degree in hand. She had a medical year with a knee problem. She's playing well at TCU. Her family had moved to Dallas, went out of Arkansas, closer to home. Already had her degree. TCU had lost a lot of guards, and the coach had called me, and she said, hey, we can probably guarantee her 15 minutes a game. Well, she played 20-something a game last year, and she played 35 against us. And she was guarding Jordan the majority of the time and was doing a very, very good job on defense for them. And give her credit. It's not what she does offensively. And if more people in this world would realize there's a basket on both ends, and if you can play defense first, and that's what she does, and that's what I used to coach in high school, was 6-on-6 ball, and I sent a lot of kids to college that just played on the defensive end. And then they became good college players and offensive players. But Leah Jackson is one of my favorites, and she played very well. And I'm happy for her, and I'm not happy for me. But she's playing well and getting playing time. She only went 1 out of 6. She sits in that corner over there and waits for a 3-point opportunity and offensive rebounds, where she had 8 rebounds yesterday. So sit in the corner. When Hurd gives it up, she can knock down the 3, not consistently, but puts a threat over there. And it means that we're going to come off of Hurd on drives to the basket. That's going to leave her wide open in the corner. It's a good game plan, particularly if you got a great point guard like Hurd is for them, and exactly what Jordan is for us. Both kids are very good.
Leah also had 3 assists and a steal over the course of the ball game as well. Some better news earlier in the week. Aggies were a winner over Texas Southern, and at the end of the game, that was win number 439 for you at Texas A&M, and that surpassed Shelby Metcalf's 438 wins, and so that makes you Texas A&M's all-time men's or women's winningest coach. So congratulations there. But why was it special to you to have Coach Metcalf's daughter out at that game that night?
She still lives over in the area that when I first moved to Bryan, I lived in Park Meadows. Shelby lived over in a cul-de-sac on the far end. Billy Gillespie lived in between us, and I lived in some garden homes over there. And absolutely loved it. I would walk my dog at night, and Shelby would invariably be walking his dog at night. He would always stop me, and we'd talk basketball or life, but it always started with, "Do you fish?" And I would tell him, "No, I don't have the patience to fish." And then he would start talking, and I would start listening. But Shelby is a true delight, and that's back when coaches back there in the 70s and 80s and early 90s could really show their personality. In today's world, for politicians, for administrators, or for coaches, or for just us, we got to worry about every word that we say. And back then, do you think Abe Lemons worried about anything, or Shelbie Metcalf, or Nolan Richardson? No, they just let it fly. We accepted that's the truth. And we believed it and enjoyed the people. And Shelby special, when his daughter Shelly came up, that was special for me. It was like I was handing her flowers, and she was handing me lifelong stories that I've told about Shelby, and we've said on the air, and all I needed was probably Radar there with me because he has studied and been there for both of us. And Radar should have been out there presenting the flowers to me as well.
What is that you talk about Coach Shelbie Metcalf and your relations with him a few years back? What are a couple of things you take away from your visits with him?
I do not have the vocabulary that Shelby has, but I think I talk a little bit slower, okay? He's just a little bit faster than me. And it'd be hard to interview both of us at the same time. It'd have to be a 2-hour special to get 45 minutes of talking there. But Jimbo or Childers can get what Shelby and I would talk about done in about 10 minutes. It takes us an hour to get it out. Now, Shelby is just an old-school basketball coach. There's so many great stories. I need Radar up here to tell a lot of them. But I still remember the story that he told when the kid had 4 Fs and a D on his mid-semester or something. He brought him into the office, and only Shelby says, "Son, you're spending too much time on one subject."
That's right.
To me, that's one of the greatest Shelby stories ever. And but Shelby was just a king of one-liners. He could have been, you put Lou Holtz and put Shelbie Metcalf and Abe Lemons, and we wouldn't need all those talk show hosts at 10:30. Those three could each have their own show, just on talking about life.
You guys shared a very similar scheduling philosophy. He was all about making sure he was at those holiday tournaments, Thanksgiving, and even towards Christmas, and was always wanting to play, and pretty much would play anyone, anywhere, if they thought it would benefit the program. And I think that you have a similar scheduling philosophy.
Well, I have a philosophy knowing November, December, there's a little game called football. And so I try to balance home and away during that time, because the true fans are going to be there whether we're playing hockey or we're playing basketball or whatever. But the casual fan might have 2 kids at home. They've got school activities. They got Christmas coming up. They got Thanksgiving family coming in. And so I'll rather balance it out. And plus, you get more computer points on the road with a W than you do at home with a W. So if I would have beaten TCU on the road, that probably would have been as many points as it would have been beating Texas, who's a top 11 team in the country. So I want to put my kids in those situations too, because here's the difference. We had their largest real crowd of the year that wasn't an elementary school day game, 2,300. I want my kids to realize it's going to be 14 to 18,000 at South Carolina, 10+ at Tennessee, 8+ at Mississippi State, and Kentucky will be 55 to 6,000. LSU drew 6,300 in the last game. They're coming out to see Mulkey's team this year, and she's drawn very well. So if we cannot get our half-court offense going and them understanding what we're trying to run, our inbounds plays or our presses in front of 2,300, what's going to happen when we go to South Carolina? We've got to be able to teach for them to just be able to execute on their own without us hollering out every play.
How do these players today? How do they learn? How do they take coaching?
I think they take praise better, like most people in our life. A lot of people are praise people, but you say one negative thing, they take it to heart. You just told them 9 things that are great about them, or what we're doing as a team. But they will stay on that one thing, and it stays with them, or it goes on social media back to their support staff. So as coaches, we've got to have a blend of tough love, real love, but you better have some kick-in-the-butt love too. And that's what coaching and teaching's all about. When I was in the 5th grade learning how to do fractions with Miss Firestone, she'd get on my case. Now, she didn't spank me on the rear or hit me with a ruler, like all our old people think that's how we learn. But she stayed on my butt about learning how to do fractions. And we just lost 2 out of our last 3 games. So I understand that's 2/3. That's not good. So she'd be proud of me that I could recognize that right now.
Yeah. I don't think she's still around.
No, she's not, but I still remember her. I remember all of my teachers' names, everybody except the 4th grade teacher.
What happened to her?
No, it's probably what happened to me. I didn't get double promoted, that's for sure. But that's the only teacher I cannot remember. My teachers were very good.
And you were a product of the Dallas schools.
Dallas schools, public schools. And I enjoyed every minute of it. Sometimes you'd ride the bus. Sometimes you would walk home. Very few times was there a parent there to pick you up. My mother didn't drive, but my dad worked hard. And generally I had ball practice, so bicycle, walk, or bus.
What's it say that you took your first coaching job at a Dallas school?
That was perfect for me at this time because integration had hit in 68, 69 in Dallas. And I got there in the fall of 72. It was good because it made me aware. Of course, in the Marine Corps, I was with a lot of African Americans, a lot of Hispanics, no Asians at all. And so you learn the different cultures, particularly in the Marine Corps. At Texas Tech, it was probably 98% white back there in the early 60s when I went, except for a few athletes that came along. So I learned the culture. Dallas South Oak Cliff was the best job I've ever had. And I know I'm at Texas A&M, but Dallas South Oak Cliff gave me the confidence to do what I'm doing now. And it taught me about relationships. It taught me about a lot of teachers would get in their car at 4 o'clock and they were crossing that Trinity River. Of course, I was coaching and I was staying and taking kids home to their neighborhoods because usually mama had been working 2 jobs and she wasn't getting home to about 7. And back then, there was a lot of single-parent families. And so the kids trusted me to sort of be that father figure back then. But South Oak Cliff was a great thing. And by the way, do some research on me back there. First time Dallas South Oak Cliff has played in the state championship football game ever. First time a Dallas school has played for a inner city school in the state championship game for maybe over 50 years. But South Oak Cliff will be in it this weekend.
He's Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller. Coming up on the show, we've got assistant coach Greg Brown. That happens next. We're live from Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Gary Blair Radio Show from Learfield. Join Texas A&M Student Athlete Advisory Council and Frontier in donating toys to children in need this holiday season. Bring your new unwrapped toys to the women's basketball game on Sunday, December 19th, and at Reed Arena. And it was going to be also for the men's game tomorrow night, but that game has been canceled due to COVID from the Tulane team. So that opportunity to bring those toys won't be available, but you can bring them all on Sunday the 19th at the women's game. Visit 12thman.com/toy drive for the full details from the Texas A&M Student Athlete Advisory Council and Frontier. We're back at Rudy's Barbecue with Coach Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller. We're at Harvey Road here and having a great time. We're here each and every Monday, although our next show won't be until January 3rd. And a reminder that our first conference game will happen during the break as well. It'll be on December the 30th. That's a Thursday night, 8 o'clock against Vanderbilt. And so that is a kind of a before New Year's start to conference play. Happens every once in a while the way the schedule kind of shakes itself out.
Well, I think it's good that we're opening at home. We've been on the road probably 3 out of the last 5 years in conference play, and I want to open up at home. And we bring our kids back the night of the 26th. They'll leave after our 2 o'clock game on the 21st or 20th?
The 20th.
On the 20th, and then get a very needed vacation at home, and hopefully come back and we'll do our own Christmas party over at my house on the 29th, the night before we open. That's when the kids exchange gifts and the coaches exchange gifts. And then all the oohs and ahs and all of that. It's a fun experience watching kids open up a gift from their teammates. But we got a lot in front of us. And by the way, we're giving bicycles away on the 19th and 20th. So all the kids that are out there, there's nothing better than getting a bicycle, but I'm not sure how many will be given away, but I'm not sure how the drawing is going to be.
What you do is you can enter the raffle at the north entry during pregame, and then we'll also have a bucket that you can put your name in. This is for kids down at the bottom of section 102 all the way to halftime. So in case you don't get a chance to go to the north entry, you could go down just courtside and do that. And at halftime or in the third quarter, I think, the winner's going to be selected in the third quarter, and we're going to have that bike right on the middle of the court and have a kid run right out of the stands to come down and claim it.
If I'm not mistaken, some of the folks out in the audience can remember this. I think I got my first bicycle at 6 years old. I got my red wagon at 4 years old. We didn't have training wheels back then, okay? You just learned how to ride. And that's what's special back then. Now the safety for all the kids, they learn on the training wheels first. They got helmets on. They got elbow pads. They got knee pads. We'd put baseball cards on the spokes around there. We wouldn't put the good ones on there. We'd put what's called the commons. And you put around to get that noise going, but there's nothing like that first bike. And I would love for whoever wins Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, I would love for that to be their first bike.
Well, our guest didn't need to come here to learn anything in College Station because he came with already a wealth of knowledge and experience. Greg Brown, our assistant coach in his first year at A&M, but definitely not your first year of coaching, not your first rodeo. What brought you to Texas A&M?
Coach Blair.
Yeah.
I mean, the opportunity, it's always – people always ask, what did you learn most from Coach Summit? And the thing, it wasn't X's and O's or anything. She said at the end of the day, you always go with the people. And it's the people of A&M. I mean, no different than we tell the recruits. The same reason my family's here, the city, the university, the people surrounds it, the fans. It was an easy decision as far as that goes.
Greg, I'm struggling with my half-court offense. We're struggling on the defensive end. We are doing a lot of things well, but in your eyes on the defensive end, where do we need to get better individually and collectively as a team?
We're 80% there, and unfortunately that 20% is a huge chunk of what we have to get done. It's the on the ball is going to be on the ball. It is our backside and our rotation and our cover down, and we tend to be one person, one half a step late. So tomorrow we'll have a good meeting with the four captains who are the crux of that defense. And so we can talk about that and some accountability with that. But it starts with individual ownership on the ball and then ownership in the weak side. And we've got 2 good weeks right here of work. We've now seen Texas and TCU do it. and we need to hold accountability to what we can see done, that it can be done. And there were some great clips. There were some great possessions. And, and we had Coach Williams, I know he calls them turkeys. We call them kills, where it's 3 consecutive stops in a row. We had 8. We had 8 and multiple. The problem was we didn't have many consecutive stops in between those. So those possessions are there. We need to see those, and we need to do those on a consistent basis.
I asked you about a month ago to give me a glossary of defensive terms, and people that are out there listening, explain a little bit about some defensive things that they can understand, like weak side, strong side, triangles and things like that, just on the defense.
We split the floor in half, and if you can just imagine a line running from rim to rim. When the ball's on one side, strong side, opposite side's weak side. And we try to play 5-on-3. So we want to get all of our defenders, if you can imagine that line running on one side of the floor. Offenses usually have 3 on one side and 2 on the other. So we want to outnumber them. And that's where we're struggling, is getting all 5 of our players to play 3 on. If you could play 5-on-3 every day, you don't have to be a fractions guy to understand that's going to be a pretty good deal. The problem is we're playing 3-on-3. That's to the offense's advantage. So everything you're going to hear us talk about, you'll hear high I and low I. That's the help side guys getting to that ball side right there to give us help, to give us support, and make that floor look small. Another term we talk about is shrinking the floor, making it look clogged up. You do that by pressuring the ball, and you do it by filling the gaps with those players. Again, we're about a half a step late on that.
What's a gap?
A gap is between 2 defenders or 2 offensive players, or between the ball and your man. So if I'm guarding Steve, or if Teresa's guarding Steve, and I'm guarding, we got to protect the gap between those 2 people. And you'll see we get split. And against TCU, the goal and only objective was no right-hand drives. And we gave up one of the first 3 possessions. So we'll work. I think the key to being a good defense is just the word yet. We're just not there yet. And sometimes, and I told them this a week and a half ago, what you accept in victory, you have to accept in defeat. So because you can get away with it, doesn't mean you did it correctly. So now we have the opportunity to see that and make those corrections and have that accountability. So I'm excited about getting back tomorrow.
Okay, for Hurd, along with a lot of players that will play in the SEC, they might have more individual speed than we have. How can we still put pressure on the ball and still keep them from reversing the ball to get it to a shooter like Holmes did at TCU? A lot of that was off the press breaker. Hurd would just break it and kick it to the corner, and she was by herself. But how can you put ball pressure and not worry about getting beat on penetration, but at the same time have that line down the middle and still be able to recover in time to stop the shooter in the corner?
There's 2 things. Against great players, you can't take every option away, so you limit their options. And you limit it to the options that we want you to have. So if Hurd's going to beat us, she's going to have to beat us to her left hand through a gap. With the shooter over there, you have to be ubiquitous is the word, 2 places at one time. My body's here, but my mind is there. So I'm plugging this, and I'm traveling on the air time. I should be able to outrun the ball being passed from one person to another. And again, that's where we're half a beat late. So that's what we have to do.
Whoa, you just ran through a word that I didn't learn in 5th grade.
That's a Kentucky word, ubiquitous, right there.
Ubiquitous?
Means being in 2 places at one time.
All right. Well, Miss Firestone didn't teach me that. But that's a great word for Scrabble, so all y'all learn that when you play those board games at Christmas. Nobody will ever get it. Ubiquitous. I can't even figure out how many letters that'd be, but it's more than I know. Tell us about Tennessee, Christmas time, your stops along the way. What's been important to you and your family?
Just time together has always been important. From the time I was little all the way to being married. I've been lucky. I got to go to Lipscomb University and work for Don Meyer, one of the winningest coaches in the game, a Hall of Famer. Then I coached high school and then had the opportunity to go work with Coach Summit, who was friends with Coach Meyer. And that was unbelievable. Then to go be an associate head coach and be part of building a program at the University of Central Florida. Again, it was the people. And then through my connection with Coach Starkey, who I've known since I'm an undergrad, got a relationship with Coach Blair. So I've been lucky that people have always been a center point of our lives and our family lives. And that's what Christmas has always meant. It's always fun to be around people you don't see. The Browns are a little quieter, a little more calmer than the Naylor side of my wife's side over there. So that's the biggest time that we're all together right there. So I've always looked forward to that.
I love Christmas. And I remember I used to help my grandparents deliver the presents to all the relatives, and we all lived on one street. So I'd go over to Worth Street in East Dallas, help load up my grandparents' car. We'd go deliver them because all three sisters all lived on Forest Hills. And I'd do the wrapping for my mom and everything like that, but that was special. Our family was Christmas Day. Some families are Christmas Eve.
Ours was Eve.
Yours was Eve? No. Christmas Eve was deliver presents and deliver your girlfriend's present. But Christmas Day, that's the presents. You open them up. That was a good time.
I was married before I delivered any presents to a girlfriend before or engaged.
Good try. Good try.
Well, Greg, we appreciate you being out here tonight. Appreciate you and your family being here and leading our defense and offering so much to the program this year. And looking forward to we're not even halfway there yet. We got a long way to go, and looking forward to it. And hope you'll be back on the show real soon. Everybody, Greg Brown, our assistant coach, and that's Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller. We're live from Rudy's Barbecue. It's a Gary Blair Radio Show from Learfield. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, hotel accommodations, autographed memorabilia, and more. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. We're back on the Gary Blair Radio Show. We're at Rudy's Barbecue here on Harvey Road. Reminder, our next show will be on January the 3rd. We've got the Buzz Williams show tonight and again next week, the way the schedule works out. And then the Aggie women playing on Sunday at Reed Arena, 2 o'clock against Rice. And then Monday, 2 o'clock against UTSA, giving away a bicycle each day to a lucky child who comes to the game, puts their name in the raffle.
We've got Coach Brown's son with us, and this is a 5th grader. This probably did better than I did. And he's 11 years old. And tell us a little bit about your first bicycle that you got. How old were you? And what are some of your favorite Christmas memories, particularly there in Tennessee?
Oh, well, I don't remember how old I was when I first got it. But I remember it being small compared to what I am now. And probably some of my favorite Christmas memories in Tennessee was probably playing hide and seek with my cousins.
Hide and seek. I used to do that as well back in the day. Tell us, what's it like moving to a new town from Tennessee and meeting new friends and leaving your old friends back? I know a lot of people have had to do it, but how about you?
Well, it's definitely hard. Leaving my friends in Nashville and coming here with it being 13 and a half hours away and being farther away from my friends.
All right, let me ask you this question. You got any funny stories on your mom or dad real quick, because we got to go to a commercial break. I know this is your first radio show.
Not right off the top of my head, I can't.
That's because he wants to make sure there's plenty of presents this season.
All right, but hopefully you get what you've earned at Christmas, and you're thankful for all your family and your brother who's up there in college up there in Tennessee.
All right, Carter Brown, great debut. We'll be looking for you every week. Is that right, or just some weeks?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, we're back in a moment. This is the Gary Blair Radio Show from Learfield. This copyrighted broadcast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by Texas A&M University. Reuse of the presentation is prohibited without the express written consent of Texas A&M University and Learfield. Announcers are provided by Learfield and Texas A&M University. We're back at Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Gary Blair Radio Show with Coach Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller. Our next show won't be until January 3rd. Reminder, the Buzz Williams Show comes up next right here. And, Coach, typically you are notoriously a late Christmas shopper. How's that coming this year?
Well, I stopped by North Park today, and I bought one gift.
That didn't put you very far ahead.
No, it takes me a while. I got to check everything out and everything. And so, but on Christmas Eve, I'll have it all done. But my wife takes care of most of that for me, and she's very good about, I think there must be something going with that Amazon guy. Must be there. He's at my door. I got a box every day. I mean, Amazon.
I mean, you are a newlywed. I mean, so there are questions we need to be asking?
No, but Amazon and all the deliveries, that's made shopping a whole lot easier. And I think people enjoy doing it that way. I haven't quite got into that yet.
What are your Christmas plans this year?
Probably Fayetteville and Houston. We've got 5 grandkids in Houston. We've got 4 in Fayetteville. And we've got 2 families, and we love them very much, and we will find a way to do everything that we can. But I love Christmas time. I love to relax, get away from basketball. I'm not a board game person, but I love being around family.
Rice is the next opponent coming up on Sunday, 2 o'clock, and it's Holiday Hoops plus one adult can bring 4 kids in for free. And plus, we've got our toy drive going on. We're going to give away a bike. And Rice has a new coach and an assistant coach that you know very well.
Well, I do. Rice, that's a hard matchup. It's like playing TCU or SMU because they mark that on their calendar. TCU, we'd won 8 straight times, but we thoroughly got outplayed yesterday. Rice, the coach, went to University of Washington. She's a good friend of mine. She took a couple players with her, including that 6'9" player.
Well, that's a good thing.
That's good. So
wish them all the success.
Nancy Mulkey is out there the left coast out there. So, but the new coach came from NC State. Does a very good job, and it's all about Rice now. We'll make TCU corrections. But now it'll be about Rice.
And their assistant coach, Nick Grant.
Nick, his sister, Kristen Grant, played for us here on the national championship team. She was with us 4 years, video coordinator, and then went to SMU for another 4 years. And now she's at University of Texas. And then Nick has gone from San Diego State back home to the state of Texas. So he's doing a good job. And he'll know our offense just like everybody else. It seems like this is a reunion tour of people that I know in coaching this year.
And then on Sunday, it's a UTSA. Karen Aston, the coach there, and kind of the old, she's got her reunion going on there as well.
Well, another good program, UTSA. They do a good job. Karen is a very, very good coach. And she'll get that program back up in Southland. Is that where they still are?
Oh, I can't keep up with conference alignment. That's a whole nother show.
Well, they keep moving, but it's a good program that's had a lot of history behind it. Karen does an excellent job, and she was at Texas for about 6 or 7 years, and she knows my offense like everybody else does too.
All right. Well, Gary, we'll see everyone back here January 3rd and at the games this Sunday and on Monday, and then the luncheon this Thursday, December the 16th at the 3rd floor at Reed Arena. Appreciate everybody coming out. Our thanks to assistant coach Greg Brown and also to his son Carter Brown, our engineers Kevin Minshow and Tony O'Neill back in Jefferson City. For Coach Gary Blair, I'm Steve Miller. The Buzz Williams Show is next. Have a great night, everybody. This has been the Gary Blair Radio Show from Learfield.